Hi everyone, it's Az here from HeelvsBabyface. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to start the video a little bit serious, but I just want you to know that what I'm going to say next, these are things which I've dealt with and come to terms with in my adult life. They no longer trouble me, they no longer bother me, it's dealt with. When I was a kid, I had a very difficult childhood. Literally from the moment I can remember, my first few thoughts, basically culminating to me running away from home at the age of 17, which I mentioned recently. And because of this difficult childhood, I was always looking for things to latch onto. I was always looking for things to take me away from what I was going through. And so one of the major things that I locked onto was science fiction and fantasy. And I could imagine myself in these different worlds, different planets, far away. And I just allowed my imagination to run wild and take me there. And it gave me great moments of levity in some very difficult situations. One of the shows that I latched onto as a kid was Star Trek. The original series, when I can remember watching it as young as probably about 6 years old, being scared, having the cushion above my eye as red shirts would get bumped off and stuff. And then as a slightly older kid, moving into Star Trek The Next Generation. And Star Trek The Next Generation, to me, became one of the greatest shows I've ever seen in my life, if not the greatest. It's a show that I love to go back to every couple of years or so and rewatch the whole 7 series of it. Not a fan of the films, because I think they completely alter the characters. But the series themselves gave me great entertainment, great food for thought, fueled my imagination. And each time I seem to rewatch the series, there's something else which I can look at, interpret, and it's just phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. Jean-Luc Picard and crew became such an important part of my childhood and growing up. I like DS9, bits of Voyager, and Enterprise on the first run, not so much. On the second run, much preferred, and it did get a lot better season 3 and 4. It's a shame it didn't get the opportunity to flourish. But these shows were written so beautifully. These shows were written to allow you to think, to pose moral dilemmas, social dilemmas, and allow you to think of how you would react. And sometimes the answers weren't as obvious as you thought. Or sometimes they became quite ambiguous, and one thing that you thought was moral might actually not lead to the right decision. It was great that television was written for you to think. Nowadays, television for the most part isn't. Television is wrote to tell you what to think, which is completely different. And ever since Kurtzman took over the Star Trek franchise, to me, it's just been an absolute disaster. Discovery is one of the most despicable shows that spits in the face of everything that Star Trek stands for. And yet it profiles and projects itself as, I don't know if people don't like Discovery, what they thought Star Trek has been for the last 30 years. I'll tell you, nothing like Discovery at all. Discovery is a disgusting show that is made mean-spirited, exclusionary, over-emotional, lecturing, revolting characters, self-centered, narcissistical characters, It's an absolute disgrace. When Star Trek Picard was announced, obviously there was that trepidation because of what Discovery was. And unfortunately, there was also, in my heart, that hope that the show would actually be good. I know. Naive of me. But you see, that's what Star Trek used to be. It used to give you hope. It used to give you hope for the future. It used to give you an idea of a future where we had set aside our differences on Earth and gone out there. And we're now working together to find those strange new worlds, to discover that new life and new civilizations, and of course to boldly go where no one has gone before. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. And so Picard came along, and unfortunately it was the disaster which we'd all feared. Again, characters, revolting characters in a nihilistic Star Trek world which doesn't coexist with how Star Trek had been. It truly didn't. Picard going around essentially just apologizing for being a white man. Current day ideology, third wave feminism just thrown into the series. Violence, 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 violence. Again, things that Star Trek didn't stand for. And all, yes, there was fights in the Next Generation and such. For the most part, the problems that were presented to the crew were problems that they needed to think about. Not brute force their way out of. Think about, work together, come up with solutions. And of course, different characters would provide different solutions, which were representative of different ways of thinking. And like I said, it allowed the audience to make their decision as who they thought was the correct party here, who was doing the right thing. And so I dipped out of this Picard after 7 episodes. And I should have dipped out way before then. Absolutely after episode 5 with that absolutely repugnant opening scene with Egypt. And 7, I don't know who the hell 7 of 9 is anymore, but they're not 7 of 9 from Voyager. I'll tell you that for nothing. So I saw little bits of the finale, of course, but I was done. And then Picard season 2, after a couple of years, which has been made back to back with season 3, released, and I watched the first episode, and the first episode was, pretty naff, but there were some moments that I did like, and there were moments that I did like, and the irony, of course, being the moments that I liked were the traps. No, not those sort of traps, people. Come on. The traps where they actually had things like a functioning crew, a chain of command, respect for the uniform, people talking normally, starships looking different, all this kind of stuff. And it was all to lure you in to what was going to be another social justice nightmare, violent, victimhood-esque TV show. And I could see it a mile away from watching the first episode. And I said, although there were a couple of things that I liked in this, I can see exactly what they're doing. And I am out. They're now 5 episodes into season 2. Gary from Nerdrotic has continued to watch it. I have not heard a single positive thing, and that's not just from Gary. I've been watching Red Letter Media. I've been looking at the reviews of it. There's barely anyone discussing this because no one gives a toss. And yes, the snippets which I've seen online of Guinan and the way that 7 of 9 and Raffi have just been acting like pathetic children. Reyes is going through a whole stupid immigration storyline. It's so current day. It's just awful. But it's so current day and partisan as well. It's not telling you it's not giving you things to think about. It's not presenting different options. It's telling you how you should be thinking. And this is bad, and this is why we're saying it's bad. Doesn't present any other sides to the argument. No. But we are halfway through season 2. And I've looked on the Paramount Plus website. I've been looking at the charts. Picard number 2 on the Paramount Plus chart for March. But it can't even beat 1883. It can't even become top. The charts for the charts for February. Discovery number 7. Ouch. Picard wasn't even charted on there. Even though I think they did have an episode in February. I could be wrong. Discovery beaten by shows like SpongeBob SquarePants, NCIS, SEAL Team, Mayor of Kingstown, Big Nate, 1883, which stays at number 1. And behind it, Blue Bloods, Hawaii Five-0, and repeats of Frasier. This is a program. This is brand new programming, Discovery and Picard, that isn't even on network television. And it can't top the bloody streaming charts on its own streaming service. Showing exactly the dire nature of modern day Star Trek. No interest at all by people. And if there was, it would be on network television. And as we saw during the coup, when they were desperate for programming, they stuck Discovery Season 1 on the network. And it did approximately 1.4 million an episode. What? Where other shows in that time slot were hitting 5 to 7 million. 1.4. This is a dead franchise. Dead. And as Kurtzman himself said during the coup, it's no longer about Star Trek, which is why it's dead. It's about using Star Trek as a platform for our messages. Propaganda. People don't want propaganda. They don't want to be lectured to. They don't want to be told what to think. They like to think for themselves. They like to make informed decisions. But to make informed decisions, that requires information to be provided. Information that people like these who operate in these companies don't want to provide. Because they don't want you thinking. They want you, as they so eloquently put themselves, to comply. Fascistic language of a bunch of fascistic authoritarian people. So here we are, halfway through Picard Season 2, nobody giving a shit whatsoever. And what do Paramount Plus do? Paramount Plus release a trailer for Season 3. Season 3. You might be saying to yourself, what? Why? Why did they do that? I'll tell you why they did that, folks. They did it because the show is dead in the water. So what did they show off on the Season 3 trailer? What did they show off? This. This is what they showed off. Hey, folks. Season 3 of Picard, the final season that we're doing. It was always planned for 3 seasons. We're going to bring back the whole crew of the Next Generation. The whole main crew. You know, we see that Denise Crosby isn't there. And we see that Will Whedon, thank God, soy cuckboy Whedon, isn't there as well. But it's the main cast, the one that we all know and love. Patrick Stewart, LeVar Burton, Michael Dorn, Jonathan Frakes, Gates McFadden, Marina Sirtis, and Brent Spiner. The show's doing so badly and so poorly, it's saying, hey, folks, season 3, we're bringing all of them, all your favorite characters back for one final hurrah. Where no doubt they all get killed, murder people, just indiscriminate violence. Everyone's raped, everyone's abused, everyone's in their nihilistic nightmare world of Star Trek. If ever there was a franchise that is dead, it's Star Trek. It's been killed by Kurtzman and crew. It's been killed by their sheer fucking hubris, to quote Picard itself. And obviously, under the banner of Kurtzman and crew, which is a banner which we will have until 2026, it will continue to die. The trailer for Strange New Worlds dropped a couple of days ago. It looked diabolical. They say they're still working on Section 29, 31, whatever. They've been working on that for 5 fucking years. That's never going to happen. They're pumping out the cartoons, which nobody's watching. The comedy show, which nobody's watching. And they have more planned, which nobody's watching. Oh, Paramount Plus, I cannot wait until you are sold off again and again and again and passed around like that girl that gets passed around that nobody fucking wants, that's trying to whore herself out, because that's all you are. Star Trek, dead. Absolutely dead, and couldn't be affirmed more than the people themselves who run the show. Proving so. See you in a year's time, people, when we've got names that you know getting killed. Hope you enjoyed the vid. If you did, do get a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel. Follow me on social media and YouTube for live streaming. Links are in the description box down below. And I'll be back with some more stuff very soon. You take care. Bye for now.